Today we're going to be talking about DriveWorks, and specifically what DriveWorks is, a little bit about how DriveWorks kind of operates on the back end, but more importantly what DriveWorks can offer for your company. So when we talk about DriveWorks, the big thing I want to talk with you guys about first is exactly what DriveWorks is and what kind of technology DriveWorks brings to the table. When I think of DriveWorks, there are really two main components, two pieces of technology that DriveWorks is able to offer. The first type of technology that DriveWorks can actually offer for you is going to be the ability to configure your products. So DriveWorks has the ability to go in and configure technical products in a very easy to understand, intuitive way. So DriveWorks is really designed for companies who has products that are configured to order. So basically you guys offer a set product for your customer, but you give your customer the ability to go in and customize that product for their specification. So they can do things like add or remove features, they can change different dimensions, maybe adjust the material for the product that they're ordering. But the overall idea is that this product is configured to order. So when your customer goes through and places the order, they need to have the ability to go in and configure that product to meet their needs. And that's what DriveWorks allows you to do, is the use of a configuration tool to intuitively configure your products when they need to place an order. Now, it's not just enough to know exactly what the customer needs when they place an order. You actually have to be able to generate all of the associated documentation as well. And that's where the second piece of technology comes in for DriveWorks, and that is the powerful automation tool, basically the strong back end of DriveWorks that can go through and take that customized order and start to generate all of the associated documentation like SolidWorks models, parts, assemblies, drawings, and even things like quotes, bills of material, or even send out confirmation emails to the customer. So DriveWorks is able to take these two key pieces of technology, a nice intuitive front end that allows you to intuitively configure products, but also a powerful back end that allows you to generate all of the associated documentation, and it merges these two technologies together to provide a very streamless way for you guys to offer custom products to your customers. So when you hear those two pieces of technology that DriveWorks can offer, it seems pretty obvious what type of benefits DriveWorks does have, but I want to talk about a few of these so that you guys can keep them in mind throughout the presentation. So some of the most common reasons that people decide to adopt DriveWorks is, first and foremost, it reduces the cost of custom designs. We all know that engineering time is expensive, so if you guys have engineers tied up every time a customer places a custom order, and they have to go in and your engineers have to modify all of these CAD models, things can start to get pretty expensive really, really quick. So DriveWorks reduces this by automating a lot of this work. The second thing that DriveWorks allows you to do is actually respond quickly to sales inquiries. So you guys probably know if you've ever had to generate a quote based on custom work, a lot of this requires coordination between multiple departments to try and get accurate quotes quickly. And we all know that you want to strike while the iron's hot. Well, DriveWorks will actually allow you to generate quotes in just a matter of minutes. And this is something I'll actually show you guys shortly. But the overall idea is that you guys can respond really, really quickly and get the necessary information into your customers' hands. The third thing that DriveWorks has to offer here is that we can actually enhance your product quality as well. Now, we know that engineers are very detail-oriented by nature, but custom products often have a lot of associated documentation. And it's only inevitable that something may get overlooked or left behind. And so with DriveWorks, because we're automating this, we don't have to worry about errors in any of our documentation. Everything's very streamlined, and we know that the end product is exactly what the customer needs. And then lastly, the ability to reduce repetitive tasks. Now, engineers, we like to design stuff, but we don't necessarily like to do the same task over and over. So by reducing this, we'll actually show you how we can let your engineers focus on other tasks that may be equally as beneficial as these custom orders. And also, one thing I like to point out, and we'll talk about this more later, is that DriveWorks is a scalable solution. So it's got basically a software package that's designed to grow as your company's needs do as well. So let's take a look at what DriveWorks kind of operates like. I want to show you guys a little bit later about the back end of DriveWorks, but I'm going to run through a DriveWorks project real quick, show you how to configure a product, and I think this will help you understand some of the later details that we're going to be discussing. So inside of SolidWorks, I have this 18-wheeler trailer, and what I want to be able to do is configure a custom trailer, so be able to go in and change the length, the height, all of these different parameters. And this would actually be quite a bit of work if I was doing this manually. I think this assembly has somewhere around 400 parts, so to be able to go and configure each of the parts and make sure everything's working together might take just a little bit for me to do. So inside of DriveWorks, I've got a project here that is actually designed to allow me to configure this trailer very, very easily. And what you'll notice here is right off the bat, we can basically just choose from a couple different trailers that we want to design. So I'm going to go in here and just choose, for instance, this rigid box trailer. And DriveWorks will actually go in here and it will actually give me like a live preview of the particular model that I'm customizing. So you can see I can actually go in here and configure the height of the trailer, the length of the trailer, and I'm actually getting a live update. And this is actually a 3D model that I can kind of rotate around, zoom in and out on. And this isn't a SolidWorks model. This is a model type developed by DriveWorks, and it's designed to run on very lightweight hardware. So you can actually configure this on non-workstation computers, tablets, mobile devices. All of this is very user-friendly, and like I said, it doesn't have to be used on a workstation. And so you can see that this type of live preview, these type of intuitive selections really allow you to better understand all of the choices you're making. So each one of these options, like for instance the wheels, I can see exactly what I'm changing between the wheel types, the different door types. So if I want to do a roller door or hinge door, none of these choices leave any question, right? I could put this project in front of anybody and you would understand exactly what each and every option we're making is actually doing. And this is important because we've probably all sat down in front of a company's product catalog and we know exactly what product we need, but when it comes to all the different options and the abilities to customize it, sometimes it can be overwhelming because we don't necessarily know, exactly what products we may or what options we may need. We're worried about leaving options behind. And with DriveWorks, we're giving you the ability to go in and configure products in a very easy to understand way. So once I've made this trailer, you can see that DriveWorks actually has the ability to go in and actually give me a kind of a summary here. It shows me the different options I've made, even gives me a little pricing breakdown. What's great about this is that you can take your company's pricing info and you can enter it into DriveWorks so that when you configure a particular order, you can actually get all this pricing info right at your fingertips. You can also tie DriveWorks into another enterprise software where it's pulling live pricing so that it's always up to date. And so this is kind of what we talked about earlier, where you can actually go in and respond quickly to sales inquiries. In just a matter of minutes, I've got a nice price estimate that I can respond to a customer who contacted me, 5-10 minutes ago, and we've got this information available for them. Now, in addition to that general summary here, I've got a couple examples of some other documentation that we can access very, very quickly. For instance, if we needed a bill of materials, I can actually generate a bill of materials here, and you can see that it's got all of my company's part numbers, descriptions, quantities. All that was generated just by configuring that trailer with a couple of selections. We can also generate quotes. So just like we talked about when we're trying to respond quickly to those sales inquiries, we can actually generate quotes, send these out to the customers almost instantaneously, and we can even send them emails. So let's say that they called in and they wanted to get an order together. We could actually go in, configure the product for them, and then when we're done, we can have DriveWorks automatically send them a confirmation email, basically letting them know, hey, we received your order. Here's kind of the timeline, the lead time. We can even attach a quote to it. So all of these different documentation types can be automated by DriveWorks. Now, once I've gone through and basically configured this product, I'm just going to enter in a little bit of company info. And this will just let us know who exactly we need to contact. And then after that, I'm just going to hit submit. And normally at this point, when we hit submit, this particular file set would start generating files automatically. Now, because all of this is set up on my computer, I don't have it set up to generate files automatically. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to go ahead and talk about some other things with you guys. But then at the end of this presentation, when we've got some time for questions, I'm going to come back and just let my computer start to generate all of these CAD files so you guys can see kind of what that process looks like. So now that you know a little bit about what DriveWorks looks like when you're using it, let's talk about some of the back-end information, kind of what's actually going on with DriveWorks. So let's talk about setting up your DriveWorks configurator. Now there's 3 basic steps required to set up any DriveWorks project. And the first of these is that we need to capture model information. So when you've got a SOLIDWORKS assembly that you want to take into DriveWorks and start building a DriveWorks project that will allow you to use DriveWorks to create custom orders, you actually have to go in and you have to tell DriveWorks what exactly from your model it is you want to be able to change. So you go in and you tell it specifically what dimensions you want to change, what custom properties, maybe what types of drawings you want to generate. All of this information gets captured inside of DriveWorks so that later on we can tie this in and be able to adjust all of those different properties. So the big question here is when it comes to capturing model information, what can you control? First and foremost, you can control dimensions and features. So we can capture dimensions and we can drive their values to adjust the lengths and sizing of our particular products. Now we can also control features, so we can suppress or unsuppress features. For instance, if we needed to add a hole, suppress a hole, something like that, we can go in and we can modify the suppression state of different features. And then we can also generate drawings, so we can go in and capture drawings that we've already created and tell DriveWorks that we want to create that drawing every time the project's run. And then with custom properties, we can actually write to custom properties. And where this is really beneficial is, let's say on my DriveWorks form, I go in and I enter in a little bit of information about the customer. Well, all that information can then be translated over to custom properties in SOLIDWORKS, and then it will also be shown on the title block inside of a drawing. So really, just about everything that you would want to try and modify in your files can be controlled through DriveWorks. Now, once you've told DriveWorks what exactly you want to be able to control, then we need to jump over and we actually need to build our forms. And so the forms are exactly what you saw when I was configuring that trailer. That is that nice, intuitive user interface. So we need to build this in a way that it's easy for anybody to go in and configure our product. One of the misconceptions I see about DriveWorks sometimes is that people think it's intended for only engineers to use, and that's not the case. DriveWorks is actually intended for not only engineers to be able to quickly configure products, but also sales teams or even customers. So you guys can give the ability for non-technical users to be able to configure products that are inherently technical. And that's where forms come into play. We go in and we build all of this intuitive user interface, images, descriptions. We don't leave anything to question. That way anybody can come in and they can actually configure our particular custom products. So forms inside of DriveWorks allow non-technical users to configure technical products. And the way that we do this is that we simplify input criteria. So we make it easy to understand so that every choice you make, you know exactly what that effect is going to be on the end product. And it allows you to clearly communicate your products. I kind of mentioned this before, but we've all sat down and looked through a company's catalog or their website and just kind of been overwhelmed with the sheer number of options. And DriveWorks really excels at making sure your customers know exactly what type of options they need and what each and every option is actually going to do on the end product. So once you've told DriveWorks what you want to be able to control, you've given the end user a method or a form for which to input all of their specifications, the next thing you need to do is you actually need to tie these two components together. And the way that we do that is through rules. And rules are really the power inside of DriveWorks. This is kind of what makes DriveWorks the awesome product that it is. Rules allow you to link the form fields to the actual captured model information. So you can go in and tie a form field into a specific dimension or custom property, any of those things, and this is really what creates that powerful automation and speeds up this custom design process. So in DriveWorks, rules transfer data from the form to the model. And what's really beneficial here is that they let you build intelligence into your design because they give you just this very simple input on a form, but that simple input really has the power to do a lot of work once it starts transferring over to your captured model information. And what I like to think of here is minimal user input, maximum change. So if we use the height of that trailer, for instance, and you think about specifying the height of the trailer, think about all of the different components that would have to be adjusted if we wanted to make the trailer a little bit taller, right? Each and every side panel would have to be a little bit taller. The doors on the back of the trailer would have to be taller. The hinges would have to be taller. The latches would have to be taller. There's a lot of components that would change with just one input. But that's all that's required is for the customer to input just one form field. All they have to do is specify the height of the trailer. We take that one form field and we transfer it over to multiple different captured models, and we're able to really make a lot of change with very minimal input on the user side. So once you've built in these three different components of your DriveWorks project, it's time to start running your DriveWorks project. It's time to start using it each and every time a customer wants to place a custom order. And so what I want to talk about now is kind of just the different input types. We've talked about it a little bit, but I want to elaborate on some different scenarios that could really help you guys out. So first and foremost, when you run your configuration tool, DriveWorks will automatically generate SOLIDWORKS parts, assemblies, and even drawings. So when we get to drawings, not only can we generate SOLIDWORKS drawings, but we can also generate drawings in different formats. So if your company standard is that each and every final release document gets a PDF, we can automatically generate these PDFs. If your company is generating sheet metal components and you need a DXF flat pattern, we can automatically generate that DXF flat pattern. That way we can send it out to the shop. They can throw that into their water jet, their plasma, and they can start cutting out that flat pattern. So we have the ability to customize the document output to meet exactly what your customer, or your company rather, needs each and every time a specific project is run. Now, outside of SOLIDWORKS documents, we can also generate a couple of other document types. And you guys saw this a little bit earlier, where we can go in and we can generate quotes, we can generate bill of materials, and all of this stuff can be customized to adhere to our company's formats. So we can generate customized quotes with our company logo, all of the necessary information. Same with the bill of materials. And we can even tie into other systems. So we can tie into other enterprise software systems that your company has to push and pull necessary data into these other systems, so that company-wide, everybody's kind of moving together at the same pace. DriveWorks, we mentioned this earlier, is a scalable solution. So it's not just kind of a one size for everybody. It's a scalable solution that allows you to grow the software as your needs grow as well. And so what I encourage you to check out is DriveWorks Express first and foremost. So every seat of SOLIDWORKS includes DriveWorks Express. And you guys may be familiar with some of the other DriveWorks, or sorry, not the DriveWorks products, the other Express products that are included in SOLIDWORKS. For me, DriveWorks Express is the most complete Express product. I think it's the most powerful Express product. DriveWorks Express can go in and it can actually automate parts, assemblies. It can do a lot of what we've shown here today. And so I encourage you guys to go out and actually use DriveWorks Express to maybe just automate one of your simple parts or sub-assemblies that you use a lot, and just see how beneficial automating something very small can actually be. Now, aside from DriveWorks Express, the next step up is DriveWorks Solo. And DriveWorks Solo is the first offering that you can purchase from DriveWorks, and it's got some of the benefits that you've seen here today, such as customizable forms. So you can actually build in those really intuitive forms that have nice images, they've got your company logo, all of that nice intuitive interface. DriveWorks Solo is what really brings all of that to the table. Now, along with that, DriveWorks Solo also has the ability to generate sales quotes and a bill of materials. And it also gets you access to a lot of cool webinars and technical data on the DriveWorks website. The cool thing about DriveWorks Solo is that you can actually go to the DriveWorks website and snag a 30-day trial. So if you guys are interested, go ahead and try it out. Try out, automating one of your products, and let us know how it goes. Definitely contact us with any questions about that process. Now, from DriveWorks Solo, the next solution would be DriveWorks Pro. And the way I like to think about DriveWorks Pro is that it's more of an enterprise solution. So where DriveWorks Express and DriveWorks Solo are usually intended for kind of one engineer to have on his computer and configure a product on one machine, DriveWorks Pro allows an entire company access to DriveWorks projects. So DriveWorks Pro has what we call user licenses, which is what I showed you here today. And it would basically allow you to give all of your sales team, all of your engineers, the ability to configure products. So it's a very company-wide solution. Not only do you have the ability to use those user licenses, but DriveWorks Pro actually has what we call a DriveWorks Live license, and it will allow you to put your project on your website so that your customers can go onto your website, they can configure your products, and when they enter in all that info, it's actually going to be sent back to you. All the models will be automatically generated, things like that. So a lot of really cool solutions from DriveWorks. All of these are scalable. So if you start with DriveWorks Solo, you can easily upgrade to DriveWorks Pro. So we encourage you guys to definitely check out these 3 different solutions and contact us if you have any questions, because we'd love to talk with you about them. Now, before I show you guys the automation that I promised, I want you to kind of leave with a couple big picture items that we talked about. So first, remember that DriveWorks allows you to respond quickly to customer needs. So when the customers are very interested in your product and they contact you, you want to be able to turn around a quote very, very quickly and get that information in their hands. So with DriveWorks, because we can tie in all of our pricing information and we can quickly configure products, we're able to get quotes in the hands of our customers in just a matter of minutes. Along with that, we can reduce production delays caused by errors we know that engineers are very good at what they do, but with so much documentation, there's typically going to be something that's left behind or overlooked. So we eliminate this because DriveWorks is automating the whole thing. Once we set up our DriveWorks project and we know that it's running correctly, we don't have to worry about errors or things getting overlooked. So we really reduce delays caused by errors when running DriveWorks. And then, of course, we reduce costs for custom products. You guys know that engineering time is very expensive. And so by eliminating the need to have an engineer kind of rework the same file set over and over every time an order is placed, we can really reduce the cost to your customers at basically the end of purchase. Now, because I'm an engineer, this last one's my favorite, and that is the ability to allow engineers to innovate. We're not trying to replace engineers by any means. What we're trying to do is we're trying to get your engineers away from modifying the same file sets over and over. We're trying to allow your engineers to innovate new products, to work on new designs, to keep your company moving forward. But still at the same time, allow your company the ability to offer those custom products to your customers. And so I hope you guys have kind of appreciated this. I will go ahead and answer any questions that you guys may have. But in the meantime, I'm going to jump back over to SolidWorks, and I'm going to actually have it start generating these files for me. And so you guys can see, it'll probably take 3 or 4 minutes to generate all of the different file sets. Probably a couple hundred documents here, but this is totally hands-off. This is DriveWorks taking over the show. If you guys want to follow up on any of this, contact us by any means. You can always reach out to MLC, or you can reach out to me directly. Just to give you guys my email address, it is travis.jones@mlc-cad.com. All right, thanks for joining us, guys.